Good morning, traders. Welcome to the pre-market analysis that we open to the public every single Wednesday via YouTube. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on what's going to happen today as we go through the pre-market stuff. This is Spartan speaking, by the way. Once I'm done here, Beth's going to come on. She's going to give you a breakdown of the macro environment, any news events that happen over the course of this evening, to go through any bigger picture items, commodities, ETFs, bigger cap names that make sense to be looking at for today. After that's done, I'm going to be going through the names that I'm looking at that are gapping up, gapping down. We'll talk about the news associated with those gap up, gap downs, build an action plan in regards to the technicals for the open on them, go through the SPY, the Fang, the VIX, the Qs, the IWM as well. And then I will pass it over to, we'll see if South Beach is in. His internet's been out for the last couple of days, but if he's in today, he'll be going through the macro environment, analyst calls for the day, what he's looking at from a basically rotation standpoint as well. And then I'll do a quick little recap before the open. If he's not in, Beth will come back on. She'll be going through some more stuff as well. So we'll let you guys know. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass over to Beth, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Beth, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. Interesting pullback. We've discussed it, why it should happen.
Everybody, Spartan from SpartanTrading.com. What do you got?
Thank you. All right, let's talk. This is actually healthy, good. With the earnings cycle starting to wind down, we obviously are having, and the buybacks, don't forget a lot of the stock buybacks, dividend increases. So this is not unusual, and we've talked about it, that sloppy choppy the first 2 weeks of November, and then we get the stronger tailwind from mid to end of November, obviously into year end. And that does tend to carry through for a lot of names into January, February, et cetera. Okay. Yesterday, this was an interesting thing, the draw. They were expecting a build. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Inflation rate in China, factories, 26-year high. Okay, so who amongst us believes, it's almost like a read my lips moment, that this spike in cost inflation is transitory, that will go down in the annals of time, economics 101, transitory. They're so far behind the curve, it's not even funny. Okay, so yada, 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 inflation rate, as you can see, as expected, they're very good at this, harmonized inflation rate in Germany, right? And here we see loans outstanding. You know, I'm waiting for a shoe to drop, a bigger shoe to drop, okay, than Evergrande. I mean, the question is, and I think in the background, the Chinese government, wink, wink, nod, nod, is helping the market out, the real estate market. We'll see how that plays out. We do get the mortgage from refinance inflation for us. Let's see. Not transitory, sticky, very sticky. And then we get the New York Fed treasury purchases, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I have no, this should be a draw, but you never know, right? Okay, let's take a peek. US inflation likely reached 30-year high in October. Okay, so there has to be an asterisk by this. And the asterisk is that we've never been in a pandemic since the Spanish flu of 1918, right? So we have no idea how this plays out. We don't. And that's why I keep saying, if someone tells you that if you jump off the bridge, you're going to land on your feet, okay, well, like I said, anyways, she says China is ready to, wow, his nose is growing, Pinocchio, isn't that? Well, anyway, there's a meeting soon, right? On condition of mutual respect. Yeah, whatever. Inflation is getting stickier. What to watch in October? It's going to be high. I mean, look, the non-farm payroll was what I was looking for in terms of wages and stuff like that. And that's why I don't think the Fed was aggressive enough in their tapering, but at least it's a start. Right? I would like to see them, you know, and I go back to Judy Shelton, right? I mean, no matter what you think about her, she's been very articulate, and I actually agree with her in terms of they aren't doing it fast enough. Maybe because of the holidays or something. I don't know. All right, so here's Wall Street Journal, the Chinese articles. Well, this is sad. She's failing because she's in prison because she reported Wuhan COVID. And then we know what happened with yesterday, right? With the economy, education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Happy Singles Day to my friends out there, Chinese friends out there. Get a nice little bump in the market, Chinese names. Not a lot, but anyways, it's Singles Day. We'll see how it plays out. Let's see what this one looks like. That's only 2018. Hell of that. Chinese factory inflation, yada, yada, yada. We talked about that. Chinese sector, Tencent and Baidu are set to report earnings. Okay, so Sensei, who I fondly referred to as Panya, was saying that Tencent president says company has a lot of the technology and capabilities to explore and develop the metaverse. This is still, my head explodes on this one. I know it's there. I just can't wrap my hand around it. But anyways, Tencent says they can get into the metaverse, universe, whatever. Okay, Yellen Federal Reserve won't allow inflation. Okay. This is another one. Read my lips, right? Oh, come on. There we go. U.S. credit cards. This is the theme that we've been talking about in terms of consumer, right? You put more money in their pocket, higher hourly wages, right? And they're going to spend it. Okay. That's just the way it is. That's human nature 101. All right, Biden administration. This is a big deal. And I actually think they're on the right track with this. There's not a lot of stuff that I agree with on both sides, and because I'm independent, so I have to find fault with both, right? So this is an issue, it has to be addressed. Then the question is going to be, they're thinking there's going to be a boomerang, right? The boomerang would be is as you alleviate the supply chain issues, right? There's going to be oversupply and prices are going to go down. Look, I don't know about you, but when I want to go buy my Bounty, I'm only allowed to buy one at Costco. Amazon won't fulfill my request on Bounty. So I'm just saying, are you making preparation for, yeah, this is actually something we have to keep an eye on, friends, because it's starting to look like a little bit of a pissing contest between the EU and UK. Oh boy, anyways. The Senate UN, I hang my head in shame. Civics 101 is a shit show here in the United States on the political side. I'm actually happy if, let's say, Matthew McConaughey actually runs for governor. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in California. Please, someone kick these individuals out, and let's get some really people who represent me and the vast majority in there. I think Matthew McConaughey is a good idea. All right, multi-billion-dollar plan to upgrade aging U.S. budget. How cities, this is kind of fun. You got a $1 trillion shopping list, right? Ribbian. Wow. It's the Ribbian sweepstakes today. Let's see what happens with this. I would assume pop then drop, and I would assume that both Amazon and Ford would come back in because they're holding, but who knows? It's an IPO, anything can happen, right? All right, what can you, oh, wow. This is actually 2040. Okay, I can make it to then, right? Let's see what happens here. We live in wondrous times, and for someone like me who's been around for a while, right? It boggles my mind, the present and future. Love it. Okay, Facebook. This is why I absolutely positively hate Facebook and Instagram. Hate. I won't allow, anyways. Google loses challenge $2.8 billion. We got a lot on the news side today. Oh, let's see what our gal Kathy's up to. She was buying what? Of course, NVTA. She's just continues to buy, right? There was an unwind yesterday going on in some of these names with and Twins has been posting it, and I don't know. A lot of downgrades today. Posh, wow. Take that, Snap, right? Dash it all. Let's see what they got here. Not a lot of GE. All right, so they had the panel, right, on GE. Oh my goodness gracious, for mental health issues, right? Top dogs, everybody, including myself, continue to say Jeff Immelt is an idiot. All right, let's take a look here. What do we got going on here? AQN, all right, BMO, not a lot, right? All right, it's time. I get the Elliott wave going here. Once again, for those of you who are not aware, this dude is the top dude, Ivy Gilbert. Okay, so the hourly, this is what, pull back to here, boom, boom, boom. And pullbacks are good. I don't understand why everybody's so afraid of pullbacks. It's healthy, it's good. Let's see what our gal, Carolyn Borden, is doing in terms of these Elliott waves. Well, this is actually fibs. Fibs on price and fibs on timing. So yeah, 16th, 26th, December 13th, then we have clear sailing. So, you know, for the most part, right? So don't forget this can be a meaningful low or a meaningful high. So if the market pulls back into this, it could be a meaningful low, not a high, right? Anyways, just say. All right, so this is, believe it or not, what is this? The Amazon time and price. So basically today and tomorrow is either supposed to be a top or a bottom in Amazon. I have no idea. Just saying. Okay. All right. Here we go. SPX daily. After the 19th, we have some clear sailing. You can see here, and then the same thing. So like I said, middle of the month, still looking for a sloppy choppy. This is the IWM narrative right here. Okay. And then the 29th, end of the month. Okay. So this is one that I look at from time to time on the weekends, right? And it's easier just the way it sets it up and stuff like that. So can anyone see what's in terms of short, right? So all of these leveraged inverse ETFs, supposedly 100% going back, it's only 10, 12, whatever. This tells us, right, that the market in the month of November gets a meaningful low and then starts to pop. So this will be SOC, well, you know. So yes, you know, I was telling you, I've been sharing what I've been doing, and I bought some puts on semi SOCs, and I told you about SOCs, and I bought some SMH puts. I just think it's on the extension, and then we'll see what happens here as to what kind of low we get. All right, VIX. It's not bad, okay? It's okay. Okay, bear markets occur when VIX is above 17 as well as below 17. I don't know, whatever. Growth in $1 of SPX when below. Okay, so this is actually pretty interesting when the VIX is below 17. So the reality is, it used to be 20 is the mean. Now it's basically come down to 17. Okay, all right. Let's take a look here. Growth, whatever. All right, this is interesting. Talk about leading and lagging, right? This is, you know, I don't know if this is a red flag or green flag, but anyways, for the first time in months, positive underlying momentum in the NASDAQ, Mccullen summation. And look at this. I mean, this is second longest. Well, anyways, let's take a look. This goes back to 1996. I actually wished, well, anyways. So NASDAQ composite at 3-year high and Mccullen summation crosses greater than 0 for the first time in 3 months. I don't know how they come up with this stuff. Okay. Sloppy choppy, right? First couple months. And then 6 months, 1 year, nice and bullish, right? Okay. Here we have, this goes back to 1995. Composite within 5% of 3-year high, and well, you know the drill. Okay. 6 months to a year, very bullish, sloppy choppy. But even, you know, to be honest with you, if we were correct, just saying, 69% of the time, you know what I mean? We'd be just having all kinds of cars and all kinds of stuff going on. Anyways, all right, let's take a look. Risk on, risk off, indicator. Okay, so we were getting to a level that is a little bit exuberant, right? Fear and greed model, this is so broken. It's so broken because of the pandemic. Dumb money confidence, well, I don't know about that. Excessive optimism, pessimism, volume ratio up, coming back in. So this is actually a tailwind for the market. So there's a lot of things going on that are saying that it's not as linear as it has been in the past. And a lot of it has to do with quantitative easing, right? Here's a conference board. This conference board, the people are scared shitless, right? Stock bond ratio coming in, AAI bull ratios. So this is sloppy choppy, but believe it or not, I mean, a lot of these are tailwinds, not headwinds. So S&P 500 stocks in correction, equity hedging index, VIX, robo put call ratios, and total put call options. All right, let's take a peek here. Macro. All right, mutual fund flows increasing, that's bullish, right? Available cash dwindling, that's bullish. Equity money market is pulling in a little bit, but still okay, right? Retail money market ratio, it's been here for a while now, but still bullish, right? Mutual fund cash levels. This is neutral to bullish, and obviously the consumer confidence just, geez. Okay, so here's energy. Let's see what's going on here. A lot of this is, okay, so we've talked about that on the energy side, and it's extended. And this is a fantastic indication and to show you educational moment where you can see on the extensions on the upside, they can last for days, weeks, and potentially months. On the other side, on the downside, not so much, okay? And that's human nature, right? You want to go bargain hunting on dips. And that becomes like a value trade, right? Okay. Okay, here we go. Intermediate term optimism. This is a divergence. I'm going to actually give this a neutral to a red flag, okay? Because you want to see this up here as the market continues to go higher. So it's actually, it's doing better, but it's still lagging, right? Here we go on the short term. This is, look at this. It's a wall of worry that keeps happening with this market. And this is the recipe. These are the ingredients for the market to continue to grind higher. Okay, yeah, we have some hedges. I understand that. But, and I said to you, 0.5% would be fine. 0.5 to 1%, even 1/4% to 0.5% is enough to reset. And you're going to see as I show you that it has, right? Okay, Mccullen Oscillator. This is a red flag we have to talk about, right? I would have preferred this with all-time highs. We didn't get it. So we didn't even cross over here, which is a red flag. Now, I don't, I could say this is a green flag, whether you're an optimist or not. I mean, it is holding this extension. You can see it right here, but we'll see how it plays out. Okay. Embrace the red. This has been red on energy, 50 and 200, for now it's going on months. Okay. You have to understand this, right? XLB materials, rose is okay. It's in the 70s. I mean, when you get to this 100, where do you got to go except down? But you don't want to pick tops, right? We'll see how it plays out. All right, so here's our phase. And you can see here, block still top dog in SMH. So this was an indication to me. If you look in terms of what happened with NVIDIA, as well as the SMH, that's a blow off top, okay? So it has to come back in. I mean, that's just textbook 101, right? And we'll go over that. All right, so here you see the rose is coming back in. We like that. SMH is still there in the 70s. Chile, TLT, excuse me, still 90s. And then on the downside here, IBB, what's this little one right here? 5-year, FXI, right? This is a fine heat map. I'd actually like to see, to be honest with you, XLP come back in some more, XLB, all of these kind of come back in some more to these beige levels. But this is a fantastic setup for us going into the end of the year. Okay, let's take a look at fund flows. You know me, I like to look at fund flows. Change, not much. We saw some IWM put sweeps coming through. I don't think that's going to end well, but XLU, TLT, where did it go? Boom, boom, that's a lot. Okay, so that's SPY. And then second is QQQ. All right, so that's okay. I don't have any problem with that. All right, so let's take a look at what happened yesterday. On the sector side, consumer discretionary. Can anyone say Tesla? So if it's going to give you a tailwind going up, it's going to give you a headwind going down. Consumer staples. So we started to get a little bit more defensive, right? XLI, XLB, right? Utilities, right? DA Horton. I'm in this one. I like this one. Gap. I still think we want to see the retail, and we're going to do a quick deep dive. Okay, if I come back on the mic, I don't know if South Beach is in today or not. Okay, so here's the hype. What's being hyped? Amazon, purple, PUBM, Tesla. Let's take a peek at our options zona. What's going on? Yesterday, Tesla, 35.7 above the average and robust buying. Now, this is fascinating because this was 50-50, 44 million on the upside, 44 million on the downside. So that's actually pretty super cool. So AMD was buying and NVIDIA as well. So what we're seeing yesterday was all these retail lemmings who basically were buying, buy on a lot of these, retail names would basically fire sale. They couldn't get out fast enough. And that actually is bullish because it gives us opportunity. Why? Because it's going to extend on the downside and Spone's going to finance for us, right? All right. Let's take a look at flow. It was 64.36. Okay, so we haven't seen this in a while, right? But, no. It was underwhelming for me. Let's see what it was. That's a recap yesterday. Okay. IWM, no. Tesla. Okay. Hedges. But once again, this is just weekly OPEX next week. It's like, you can't get too excited about this stuff, right? I can't on the downside. Interestingly enough, IWM did not post here. The Qs, this is nothing, right? Tesla on the other side, 13. So, I mean, you saw it was pretty well matched, right? So here's the SPX. Wow, I didn't see this one. December 2022. 5350, go long and go deep. I like that. Uber. And Uber had a lot of prints and Roblox, TTD. Some of these really had some really nice prints. So what I want to see today, I want to see it start to curl up some of these names that have a little profit taking set in, right? And see if they can curl up. This is what Spartan is brilliant at. This is what he's going to do for us. All right, so let's take a look at the interest rate side. All right, so on the US, yields are up. Oh my goodness gracious, look at that 2-year, 5-year. Okay, so the yield curve is flattening today, right? Canada yields up across the board, right? France, Germany, and down in the Asia Pacific rim. Okay, 5-year. Oh my, okay, so yesterday it held this pivot. Okay, so we'll have to talk about this in a little bit. My time is up. Welcome once again for those of you joining us in our live YouTube stream, as well as our new members. We're having a lot of new members. Welcome. It's time for me to pass it on to Spartan. Are you ready, sir?
Just 1 minute here, Beth, please.
All right, my friend. Okay. All right. Let's take a look here at the 510. Yield curve is flattening here. Okay. Let's take a look at the 530. All right. This is concerning to me. Yield curve is flattening. So it's basically starting to make the next leg up. All right, so that would be a huge negativity, right, for the mega growth type stocks, right? So you want to be careful with that. But money would rotate into a more defensive cyclical type thing, right? US 10-year, once again, the 5-year is the sweet spot for tapering. I cannot repeat that enough. I can't. You should not be looking at the 10-year. You should be looking in terms of the overall what's happening with the market, with the bond market is the 5-year. Yet we still look at the 10-year. All right, so the 10-year against the 30-year, I know, whatever. It's starting to break. This is a big deal. Okay, it's got my attention. All right, TLT. I think it's time to get back into TLT puts. Why? This is a consolidation. We're in the upper quadrant of this consolidation. And I would expect it to start moving down. I'm in TBT, but I'm also probably going to do TLT. I'll post it if I do it. German, you can see this. Yields are coming down fast and furious, right? Because of what's going on in terms of the economy with COVID, right? German 10, US 10, starting to get, you can see here, it's definitely steepening against the German rates. So that would also lend us to get capital flows, right? Our currency. So we'll see how that looks like. Here's the Chinese. I have no idea what the hell they're doing right now. They're lowering their interest rate, but not their currency. All right, let's take a look. Dollar, DXY. I don't think this breaks out. I really just don't. I'm sorry. It might, but we'll see. Okay. And here's the Chinese yuan. They're revaluing their currency, which is really something in this sort of environment. Commodities. Let's take a quick peek. Right. Gold down, down, down. Palladium, platinum up. I like this platinum, palladium, also uranium as well. So we'll talk about that, down the road if I do anything. That would be like URA. All right. So let's quickly go through here, and we're going to go to cryptos. All right. In September, I gave you a trade on cryptos. Right? I told you I was in this LRC. It's up 1,000%. Since I gave it to you guys, LRC, looping. And I showed you multiple times. Okay, so that's how these things work. I don't know what it means, but all I know is it's up 1,000%. All right, stock futures down, just slightly, just a little bit. I mean, VIX is up slightly, FTSE up. It's just slight, nothing big going on here. All right, VXN. All right, so this is the elephant in the room. It continues to be the elephant in the room, but what I find really fascinating, from time to time, I dust this off for you guys and gals. This is the VIX VXN spread. Okay, this is the mean right here. So in the upper quadrant. So what does this tell us? This tells us that the VIX, VIX, okay, should weaken against the VXN. So that would be a narrative that the Qs would sell off more robustly. That would be the narrative in terms of interest rates. So a lot of this is starting to line up for us, right? We had a failure on the growth breakout in the SPY, notable, pulling back down below the breakout level, huge red flag, right? Here's IWM. This is not as important, to be honest with you, because a lot of what we're seeing with these retails is low floats, small caps, yada, yada, yada. You got that. There's a lot. It's sloppy choppy right now, but the reality still is, okay, that we're not even close to a breakout on this one. Right? Let's take a look at Fang. All right, we talked about this. This is a weekly. I think it has to consolidate for the next couple of weeks, and that lines up perfectly with seasonality. So it gets back inside this Bollinger. It does not stay above the bull. I cannot give you an instant.
About ready to come on whenever.
All right, my friends.
All right, guys, what's going on? Let me just pop up the screen share here. Watch Ride, guys. Some news came out, just starting to push. Worth keeping an eye on in the pre-market. Things been beaten down for, I don't know, ever. Anyways, let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. Welcome if you're just first time checking out the pre-market stream. So if you guys are new to chat, make sure to click the Discord link that is emailed to you. Once you guys click it, click on the new to chat information section when you come in and give that a read. We'll go through that stuff in detail once I close down the YouTube stream later. Pre-market tickers on watch today, guys. Let's take a look at what we got going on. So a couple different things: Coin, RNG, Dash, UPST, PUBM, Posh, all earnings plays. Coin, earnings miss, EPS, and Revs. Gapping down on that, sorry, gapping up on that. I think it was, sorry, yeah, no, gapping down on that. I don't know why I put it positive. That should be down. Let's just do this real quick. RNG, earnings beat, EPS, and Revs, year-over-year growth 36.3%, Q4 guidance raised, stocks gapping up. Dash, earnings mixed, EPS miss, Rev beat. A little bit of bullish consolidation on the day. Looks like a nice little breakout to the upside based off of that. UPST, earnings beat, EPS, and Revs, Q4 guidance raised, massive run up in earnings. I know everyone probably saw that. This is profit taking on the name now. PUBM, earnings beat, EPS, and Revs, Q4 guidance raised, 2022 stock guidance raised, stocks gapping up. And then Posh, earnings beat, EPS, and Rev miss, Q4 guidance lowered, stocks getting hit on that. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two we're going to be looking at today, guys, are the coin and RNG. Let's take a look. Just adjusting one thing on the background. There we go. And obviously we can see the market's kind of breaking through this consolidation pattern from yesterday. Coin RNG. So let's take a look at this. Coin, a little bit of a pullback here into EMA support. It's had a heck of a run up in earnings anyways. Let's see where this thing's got room to today. So 302 lows. Okay. EMA support levels don't matter. Resistance. We get a lower end level as well, just in case. Let's take a look at this thing intraday. So coin, a little bit of a pullback after earnings. Pivot to the upside or downside today, I should say. 328.51. This level is able to be reclaimed. We got room towards 338.63 to 345.96. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 317.30 to the 306.41 on the downside. Overall on coin, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side today, looking for a continuation pull to the downside if that pivot point's unable to hold. So we'll see what happens there. So that is coin. Let's take a look at RNG. So RNG, big move on earnings to the upside off the recent range lows, around about 296 a share. That. All right, RNG, there we go. So pivot to the upside today is going to be that 293.06 level. Level's able to hold. You got room towards that 329 resistance. That level breaks. 310.56 will be tested. Pivot unable to hold. 284.74 to the 275.77 on the downside will be tested. Overall on RNG, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point can hold. We can see some continuation to the upside. So that is coin and that is RNG. Let's take a screenshot of these two. Let's move on to the next. All right, Dash UPST. Where's my, there it is. It's a nice little gap up on the Dash there. 223, I believe. 224. Let's look at the pre-market high then. Be a better level. Okay. Oh, one sec, guys. My internet kicked, or the platform kicked out there. Let's see if it's saved. I don't know if it did. Not a big deal. No, it didn't. Looks like maybe down. If it is, we'll just do it through the other platform, which is fine. Yeah, looks like we are down. Alrighty, so pivot to the upside today is going to be the 220 level. This level is able to hold. 220.60 it is. That level is able to hold. We got room towards the 228.37 to 241.46. Unable to hold 212.53 to 203.46 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Dash, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a hold of that pivot and continuation to the upside today. That's weird. All my stuff's kicking out right now. Hopefully you guys can hear everything clearly, but I'm having issues across the board right now. All right, let's take a look at the next name, which is UPST. There we go. Technical difficulties. Let's take a look at the signature day here. Pivot to the downside today, 259.59. Levels unable to hold. We got room towards 230.58. If that level breaks, we can see further continuation to 213.71 on the downside. Able to hold, we look for a push back towards that 294.92 to the 323.34 if that level can be reclaimed. Overall, going to be leaning bearish on UPST and looking for it to come in more, especially if the market's bearish today. I do think we're going to have more room to the downside. So that is going to be Dash. That is going to be UPST. Take a look at the next two names there. hopefully this thing can work. We'll have to just use the other platform. There we go. All right, next two, PUBM and Bosch. All right, PUBM, let's take a look at that daily there. So stock's gapping up on this name right into the $40 area. Nice gap up. Beautiful, actually. This level's going. Supports. All right, let's take a look at this chart intraday. So pivot to the upside today, 38.24 level was able to hold, 41.04 to the 44.46 level will be tested, unable to hold 34.31 to 31.70 on the downside. Overall on PUB, I'm going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today, if that pivot point can hold. That's what I'll be looking for there. Let's take a look at Posh. I believe we're at all-time lows, but I'm going to go to a 10-year and just take a look. Yep, that would be correct. Let's do some fibs to the downside here. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday. Should be enough fibs for us to work with. Is that 1531? Oh, 1230. Okay. All right. So 1799 pivot to the downside today on Posh. Unable to hold and get rid of where it's 1531. That level breaks, 1230s will be tested. Able to hold, look for a push back to 1987 to 2266 on the upside. Overall on the name, going to be leaning on the bearish side today, looking for continuation lower. And then I think we could see some basing after that. But right now it is looking quite a bit bearish. So that is PUBM and that is Bosch. Let's take a look at the spine of the Fang. All right. So spine Fang. Market's obviously looking a little bit heavy. We talked about this yesterday before the close, so I thought we could maybe pull back to the 13, create a little bit of a flag in the short term, which looks like it may be, going to become a reality today. We'll see. Yes, yes, yes. Those are all good levels. Let's take a look at this thing intraday. Yeah, pretty much after that 64.98, we got quite a bit of room. There's not really any support. There's no EMA support as well until that range gets tested. We could maybe use that in the hourly. Okay, pivot to the downside today is going to be the, I'm actually gonna move this to last day's low. 65.89, this level is unable to hold. We got room towards 64.99, that level breaks 63. 63.56 will be tested. Able to hold, we look for a pushback on the market into the 466.97. If that level is reclaimed, 468.26 on the upside. Overall on the SPY, going to be leaning bearish, looking for a continuation lower if that pivot point's unable to hold. Looks like that is probably going to be the case this morning, but we'll see. I mean, gap downs can easily reclaim support and push back to the upside. Hard to tell until the market opens up early. A lot of the bigger cap tech names did fill their gaps on the dailies. That's notable yesterday. Let's take a look at Apple. So Apple 149.78 pivot to the downside today. This level is unable to hold. We got room for continuation on Apple into the 148.54. That level is able to break. 147.34 will be tested. Able to hold. Look for a pushback towards 151 to 151.86 on the upside. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side at the moment. Looking for continuation lower if that pivot point can hold. So we'll see what happens there. That's Apple. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon, a little bit of a pullback. Daily's chart still looks pretty decent for continuation of the upside. Pivot today, 35.73. Able to hold 35.98 will be tested. And then we got room towards the, should actually be a little bit lower. The 30, actually that's fine, 36.36 on the upside. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 35.49 to 35.52 on the downside. Overall on Amazon, I'm actually going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. I want to see a reclaim of that pivot, continuation push higher. I think the daily closed out okay and fairly strong, so I do like the look. All right, let's take a look at Netflix. Going to shoulders the whole. Netflix pivot to the upside today, 662.86 levels able to be reclaimed, room towards 676.63, unable to hold 647.28 will be tested. It is a little bit of a bear flag reversal setting up potentially. It's got to get back through that pivot point though for continuation higher. Going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a retest of it this morning, and then we can see what's what. Obviously, if it's unable to get through it, then it will pull back towards the lower end of the range, in my opinion. So that's Netflix. Let's take a look at Facebook. And the next little leg down. Let's see what happens on the daily. So back in the EMA support, that level breaks. All right, ranges show up to be tested. Okay. Pivot to the downside today, 331.97, able to be reclaimed. 335 to 337.28 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards the 327.36 on the downside. Overall on Facebook, going to be leaning on the bearish side today, looking for a continuation lower if the pivot point's unable to hold. All right. 29.52.38 on Google, pivot to the downside today. Bottom end of the range being tested, unable to hold, moving towards 29.24, able to hold 29.75 to 3,005 will be tested. Can do leaning bullish, neutral, looking for the hold to the bottom of the range. Typically, Google does tend to hold its ranges. And it's a trade back up slightly. I think it's going to be kind of a bullish consolidative move. If it does bounce off of it, kind of grind to the upside. All right, let's take a look at the VIX, the IWM, and the Qs. So VIX, guys, pivot to the upside today. Is this 1861 area? This level is able to hold. 1924 will be tested. Unable to hold. 1811, 1771 on the downside. Watch the pivot on the VIX for direction on the market. Not leaning any particular direction. That's just how I use the VIX. Let's take a look at the Qs. QQQ. Yeah, so same as the SPY, a little bit of a gap down below into this gap up range. 395.31 pivot, sorry, 51 pivot, unable to hold. We got room towards 391.33. That level breaks, we can see further continuation lower into the 389.98. Able to hold 395.04 to 396.98 will be tested on the upside. Overall on the Qs, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side today, looking for a continuation lower if that pivot point can hold. And last but not least, guys, IWM. So pivot today, 240.78, levels able to hold 243.50, unable to hold. We look for a continuation lower towards the 230.45 level on the downside. Overall, going to be leaning actually on the bullish neutral side of the IW. I'm looking for it to reclaim that pivot, hold it, grind a little bit higher. I would expect it to move with the SPY, but may get a little bit of that divergence there. The daily looks a little bit healthier right now. So that's the SPY, that's the Fang. Those are the individual names that we are looking at today. I'll go ahead and pass it over to South Beach is here. South Beach.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through my phone. Hopefully, if I get cut off, guys, that's life.
All right.
Okay. So let's see what we got. All right, let's look at the bond market and talk about it. All right. So we had these numbers come out, right? Let me see if I can find them for you. Let's get these suckers up. Okay, so we got the jobless numbers came right in line. CPI month over month, 0.9 versus 0.5. Okay, running hotter. Year over year, 6.2 versus 5.8. core. That means ex food and energy, which in my opinion is complete BS, because how can you look at something without ex food and energy, right? I mean, it's kind of silly. But that came in 0.6. Anyway, they came in hotter. Everybody expected it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now let's look at the bond market, okay? Which is at the end of the day, that's the thing that really matters, okay? These numbers are looking in the rearview mirror. You want to look in the rearview mirror, you'll never make a nickel, okay? So let's look at what the bond market is telling us. We got the 10-year up 0.02. We got the 30-year lower, okay? And here's the clincher for me. The 5 years up 0.076. So the yield curve flattens, and you have all these pundits. You just had a guy on TV from wherever the hell he was from, Lehman, worried about inflation. Give me a break, okay? The bond market is telling you that that's in the rearview mirror, and it's probably transitory, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And with the bond market flattening like this, guys, I'm concerned about a recession. I got to be honest. Okay, I don't know why, but this is what the bond market is saying. When the yield curve flattens like this, you got to start thinking that growth is going to, at a minimum, is going to slow. Okay, so you've got to be super careful. Okay, and all these guys on TV, screw them. Okay, just watch the bond market. That's the, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but the bond market is where people put the money. And you always have to follow the money, whether it's in stocks or options or anything else. You have to follow the money. And the money is telling me that growth rate's going to moderate, inflation is going to go down, and that's it. Okay, so that's what it's telling me. All right, let's move on to overseas. Okay, they had a big pullback in interest rates recently after a big boom up. All right, and so now they're moderating to where they broke out from. All right, so it's up, they're up a little bit today, but if you looked at it like a stock, you would say, okay, the stock broke out at this price, it rallied hard, and now it's retraced back to the breakout level. Okay, and that's the bond market basically in a nutshell in Europe. Okay, so that's that. But I'm watching the bond market in the US more than anything else. So that's that. Let's see what else is going on. Okay, you got commodities. Okay, oil is up 20 cents. Copper is in the middle of the trading range. Lumber's back down to 587. Okay, so that's what you have in that. But, they just had a Republican senator on from Alaska. I think he's from Alaska. And what he said made a lot of sense, okay? He said they had a climate discussion in, where was it? Somewhere in Europe recently, right? Last week. And China and Russia didn't show up. Okay, so like, what are you doing? All right, if they're not going to participate, what's the point? All right, and then you have a policy where no Keystone pipeline. They're trying to do away with another pipeline, and we have more natural gas than we know what to do with. But if you can't move it to where it needs to be used, what's the point? And you have a president asking foreign countries to produce more because he doesn't want to. And the truth is, we're a lot more environmentally, what's the right word? Environmentally responsible than a lot of other places. So I just don't get the policy, and he doesn't get the policy. And I think what his argument made a lot of sense. So that's that. Okay. Just 1 second here. Did I hit everything that I needed to do? No. So that's commodities. Let's look at currencies. Okay. I forgot to do that. Dollar's mixed. The dollar really is kind of sort of weak, but kind of holding at these levels, right? Down against China, up against Japan. Euro's been pegged at this price for a really long time. Currency market is super stable. Crypto market is super hot. Now with the inflation, you see Bitcoin going up and Ethereum going up, et cetera, et cetera. But that's that. The bond market we discussed. Let's look at the foreign markets. FTSE's up 0.5%, DAX is down 0.15%. Nikkei is down 0.5%. Hong Kong down. Hong Kong's up a little bit. China's down a little bit. I don't know if you guys are aware, but you know China's down 2.6% for the year. Hong Kong's down 5% for the year. And you look at Germany up 21%, Britain up 16%, US S&P up 32%, NASDAQ up 37%. Quite a diverse, you know, quite a difference, huh? And so is that everything on that? Yes. Okay, so now moving on. So you got the banks and Fed. We read the news yesterday that Biden is also interviewing this Lyle Brainerd. Bloomberg did a piece on her this morning, basically saying that she's more dovish than Powell, and saying he's super dovish, you know, with so he doesn't understand what's going on. They don't understand what's going on. I think that's fair, but we'll see who, you know, the fact that they didn't hire him yet leads me to believe that they're not going to. We'll see. But if they brought in this other person, she would be less inclined to raise rates and a little more dovish. I think, I don't know. I mean, Powell's been pretty dovish, so whatever. I'm just, that's that, okay? China, nothing to say there. Crypto market, super hot. Oil, we discussed. The virus seems to be getting a little better. I mean, where I am, there's just nobody ever wears a mask anywhere. It's crazy. The dollar, Mr. Market. So what we have yesterday in Mr. Market, let's see what we got here. We had the home builders up, retail, consumer non-durables on the short side. We had banks, motels, materials, excuse me, solar, EV, Fang. Okay, that was yesterday. Okay, let's talk about catalysts. Okay, so we had a catalyst in NVIDIA. They had their conference yesterday. Okay, that's gone. We had a catalyst day in the AMD on Monday. That's gone. We have an EV catalyst in Lucid Motors that will be gone as of today. So a lot of times when a catalyst leads, a group needs to kind of sort of regroup, and the point of least resistance changes because people are still long, thinking that the catalyst is going to carry the day further. And I think when the catalyst goes in the rearview mirror, you got to still kind of be a little more careful. So my inclination is to think that those leading groups may have a little headwinds going forward, you know, in the next week or two. All right, let's see what happens, but that would be my gut. So be careful when a catalyst comes and goes. You've got to kind of relook at the group in a different way. Okay, that's that. I think that's an important point, guys, by the way. Earnings came out, FVRR was special. There was a lot of big moves, okay? FVR was special, PUBM, RNG, Dash, STEM, SAIL, SGFY, Legend, Donut, Mankind. Okay, you saw them all right? VALN, positive news on that one. That's really it. On the short side, these betting stocks are just dogs. Purple, Posh, I don't even get what they do, to tell you the truth. Buy secondhand stuff, I don't know. I'd rather buy less expensive stuff and not have somebody else wear it. Upstart, Docs, Perigo was bad, Coin missed, but after a great run. This Upstart missed after a great run. So, you know, that's not a surprise. When they run up like that into earnings, you got to be super careful. EVGO, let's see if there's anything else here. Twinkies. And what else? ATXI, prices and offering. A bunch of offerings, KRP, SITM, like that. Okay, there's MRTX, a bunch of offerings, okay? All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, so you want to talk about syndicate? We have 1, 2, 3 deals. I am long a deal from yesterday. I bought this, what the STRN. I kind of like the way that one read. All right, so I'm in that one. CINT, a Brazilian outsourcing company, outsourced IT, priced at 15, range was 15, 17. It's Goldman. I don't like when they price at the low end of the range, number one, and I don't like Brazilian stocks, number 2. So not a fan. EXFY, 9.7 million at 27, top of the range, cloud-based expense management. This one could work, guys. This is JP Morgan deal. It could work, okay? And the last one, last but not least, this is Ribbian, super hot. It reminds me a lot of snow, okay? Because the hype is so profound. And they kept raising where this thing was coming at, right? Let's see. Where did they price this? Ribbian, here it is. Okay, so 78. I think it was originally in the 60s. Oh, 57 to 62 was the first level, right? And they ended up pricing at 78. So I remember snow, like Warren Buffett decided the night before that he wanted $500 million worth of the thing, right? And they gave it to him. And there's something inherently bothered me about that. But anyway, this thing's going to open. It's going to open up. I would say don't chase it. I am not going to chase it. I want to see how it trades. If it does massive volume and closes at the top of the range on the day, I'll probably get involved. But my inclination is to stay away. I think it opens up a lot. And I think it may spell the beginning of headwinds for the EV group. That's how I think it's going to play out. That's my preconceived notion. But you know, everything's subject to change because the market will tell me that I'm either right or wrong. All right. And when the market speaks, I listen. It's that simple. Okay. So I'll be super paying attention to the way this Ribbian acts today. But I will not buy the opening print no matter what. Okay. I think it opens at a big premium. And I kind of think I sold some Ford last night. I sold the balance this morning pre-opening. If it goes positive, maybe I'll get involved again. But this is like the end of a catalyst, what I was going to before. I think the catalyst for Ford, which I bought at 11, okay, and you guys know I was in this thing when no one liked it. I think the catalyst for Ford has been twofold. One, a change of management and the change of psychology. And two, in this last boost up has been this Ribbian, which they own a piece of, number one. And I think the whole EV group has been swept up in this frenzy to invest in this group, okay? And Ford being one of them. So my inclination is, unless it goes above whatever, 2020, I'm gonna stay on the sidelines in this thing and wait, all right? But I did sell half and I sold the balance today. I am completely out of Ford. Nice trade, 11 to 20, can't complain. And that's my thinking in that one, okay? Let's see what else is doing. Let's look at a little bit of the research, which is, let's see if we can find something decent here. We have one guy who doesn't like Wynn Resorts. They reduced the target, that's Wells Fargo. My feeling on Wynn is I'll take another girl to the dance because I'm fearful of Wynn waking up one day and she decides he doesn't like gaming and you're going to be wearing 20 points. So I would rather buy, something else, a DraftKings, an MGM, something else. Even though I love the company at these levels, I think the risk-reward relationship is out of my hands and I'm depending on someone else to do something. And when I do that, it's always a problem. So I don't like Wynn for that reason. AMCX, reiterate the sell at, where was this, Deutsche Bank? I don't think that's significant. No one likes this purple, and there's another stock in the group that no one likes. I forget the name. I don't know. Some other betting company. They roll up the beds and they send it to you. Palantir reiterate the sell over at Morgan Stanley, but they raised the target to 24. Someone else didn't like Palantir with a, oh, here it is, Citibank. They have an 18 target, so that's Palantir. GE, the good analyst, Steve Tusa, is neutral with a target of 70. Listen, he's been wrong, okay? He's a super analyst, and he's been wrong in GE, dead wrong. And my thinking is, even though, you know, when a company splits in three, generally, you can make a lot of money, all right? Truly, because the pieces are worth more than the whole. But when you have the top II guys saying 70 fair value, I'm going to sit on the sidelines and watch. I would like to be long the name because I like the 3 pieces of paper concept. But for now, I'm going to watch it out of respect for him. No one likes this posh. And that's it on the short side. Okay, long side. What do we have? People are still bullish on Coinbase. I think that makes sense. CCXI, Raymond James likes this one. I think that's an interesting piece of research. Everybody raising their numbers in Ring, you know, the lemming concept. IGT, this stock has been one of the best acting stocks, guys. Raised the target to 42 over at Deutsche Bank. Stock's been a complete monster. DHI, Barclays likes this one, target 122. Remember the gal, what's her name? The big housing girl has been negative, got negative on the home builders. So out of respect for her, I'm not playing these names from the long side. I think she's too smart. And she's usually right. Nevada raised the target to 340 at Bank of America. So let's see if any of these are actionable. That's really what it comes down to. I'm intrigued by EBS. Okay, like all the bad news is out in this thing, right? And they make a point of talking about it in their research piece. And the stock is down from what, 115 or so to 30? I'm sorry, 135 to 35. I'm going to watch the stock. It breaks all my rules because it's below the, you know, it has no support and it's all the EMAs have crossed. I'm going to watch it for a little bit, but it's such an enticing price. I'm really salivating to get involved in it, to be honest. All right, so that's it. Let's watch this Ribbian. Let's see how these EV names trade in lieu of this catalyst going by the wayside, you know, in the rearview mirror, the semis as well. And let's see how that trade works out. The only real position I have is I took Tesla over trading wise short overnight, thinking that what's his name's going to sell some stock, and we'll see how that works out. Anyway, that's it for me. Hopefully I can trade a little bit more today because of my situation with the internet, and let's have a good day, guys.
All righty, thank you, South Beach guys. Morning, what's going on? So let's do a quick little recap of what we talked about this morning. Pre-market tickers on watch, everything's posted. So the guys on the YouTube stream, you can simply just pause it and read the information here. All the charts and stuff like that are posted, as you can see. Names that we're looking at today: Coin, RNG, Dash, UPS, TP, UBM, Posh. Coin gapping down, earnings miss, EPS and revs. RNG gapping up, earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 36.3%. Q4 guidance raised. Dash, earnings mixed, EPS and rev beat, gapping up. UPST, earnings beat, EPS and revs, Q4 guidance raised, massive run up in earnings. Stocks selling off on that run up. PUBM, earnings beat, EPS and revs, Q4 guidance raised, 2022 guidance raised, stocks gapping up. Then lastly, Posh, earnings beat, EPS and rev miss, Q4 guidance lowered, stocks getting smacked today. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two are Coin and RNG. Coin, 328.51, pivot to the upside or downside today. This level was unable to hold, moving towards 317.30 to 306.41. Able to hold 338.63 to 345.96. I'm leaning bearish only if that pivot breaks to the downside today, guys. RNG 393.06 pivot holds, room towards 329 to 310.56. Unable to hold 284.74 to 275.77 on the downside will be tested, leaning bullish, neutral there, looking for continuation higher. Dash pivot upside 227.75, able to hold 241 to the 253 level will be tested. I believe it's 253. Oh, it's a little bit higher actually. It's 255 like 30. Unable to hold 221.21 to 211.84 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Dash, leaning bullish, neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at UPST. Pivot downside today, 259.59. Unable to hold, room towards 230.58 to 212s on the downside. Able to hold, look for pushback to 294.92 to 322.34 on the downside. Leaning bearish, looking for it to come in a little bit more. I do think we'll see some basing kick in. This is just some profit taking on the earnings. The earnings were good. They were, but profit taking kicking in, of course. PUBM and Posh. PUBM pivot upside 24 level holds 41.04 to 44.46 will be tested. Unable to hold 34.31 to 31.70 on the downside. Overall on PUBM, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Posh pivot downside today is going to be that 17.99. Unable to hold 15.31 to $12.30 will be tested. Able to hold to 19.87, 22.66 on the upside, leaning bearish on that name today. Let's take a look at the SPY and the Fang market today. What do we got? So the SPY, I'll type this out as always. So SPY guys, pivot to the downside today, 465.89. 65.89. Pivot to the downside today. Unable to hold. Room lower into the 464.99 support. Breaks. We see the, I think it's what, 463.80s area. 463.56 tested. Pivot holds. Room higher into the 466.97 resistance breaks. We see the 468.26 level tested. Leaning bearish if pivot fails to hold. So basically, if you get a failure of the hold on the pivot out the gate, then I'll be looking for a sell off the entire day. If it gets back above it, then I think we can grind around and probably hold the range, but we'll see what happens. Apple, let's take a look at this name. Pivot to the downside today, 149.78. Unable to hold. We got room towards 148.55 to 147.34. Able to hold 151 to 151.86 on the upside. Overall on Apple, leaning bearish neutral. Amazon pivot 35.73.80 level holds 35.98 to 36.30. I think 6. Yeah, 36.36 will be tested. Unable to hold 35.49, 35.25, leaning bullish neutral on Amazon. Looking for a reclaim of the pivot, continuation higher. Netflix pivot to the upside today is this top end range. 662.86 levels able to be reclaimed. 676.93 can be tested. Unable to hold 647.28 next support. Going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a retest of that pivot point this morning. Facebook pivot upside, or sorry, downside 331.97. Unable to hold 327.36 will be tested. Able to hold 335.09 to 337.28 on the upside, leaning bearish neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at Google. Pivot to the downside today is going to be that 29.52 level holds. 29.75, 3005 will be tested. Unable to hold 29.24. Downside leaning bullish neutral on Google. Let's take a look at the VIX. Pivot to the upside today is the 1861 breaks, 1924 next resistance. Unable to hold 1811, 1771 on the downside. Not leaning any particular direction there, but using it for direction on the market. QQQs. Pivot to the downside today is 393.51. Unable to hold 391.33, 389.98. Able to hold 395.04 to 396.98 will be tested. And overall on Q is going to be leading on the bearish neutral side, same as the SPY for now. Pivot unable to hold, room lower. And last but not least, guys, IWM. Pivot to the upside today, or downside, I should say, actually. 240.75, unable to hold 238.45 will be tested. Able to hold 243 50 on the upside. Overall on IW, I'm leaning bullish neutral. All right, so that's a SPY, that's a Fang. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today. We'll see what happens. Should be an interesting one. If you guys are watching the YouTube stream, thanks for watching. We do this every single Wednesday.